Luckily, we don't panic, folks. This is a live TV show and anything can happen. One of our cameras got wiped out, and I was trying on a prototype hat for Pittsburgh Sportsline. John, I don't know if you're too busy there getting all the cameras going there, but check this out. Zach, I'm getting too heated up with this. Oh, well, I don't know. Well, anyhow, we got the prototype Pittsburgh Sportsline tassel cap. So we finally got one of those, and then just hold that close. Look at this. You know that Brenner contracting towel's dirty. This is pristine. They grabbed whatever towel was at. Look at waterfront embroidery. They come up with this. So we'll have prices for other gear that's coming in, but that's our plan for 2015. Special thanks to Waterfront Embroidery. Special thanks to Zach Brenner for making a delivery and stopping out there to get it on his way here. I don't know how you made it on time. And you guys know
because you had a full tank of gas.
Well, that
that always helps.
Somehow that gets...
If you got a combustion engine, you need
well, sorry we're not talking sports yet, folks. But Smoking Jim Frazier may make it here, and he may not. He ran out of gas, and... he said he got a couple gallons of gas. We'll have to find out the story. He may make it by 7:30. Zach Brenner traveled just as far, maybe further, because he had to stop for the towel. So we appreciate that. And he made it on time. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner, Zach Brenner, little Z's in the house. And I want to give a couple shout outs. First, everybody here is a volunteer. And I stopped the other day at Olive Oil's Pizzeria at Hillcrest. So check them out. They're donating an extra large pizza every week, not just for us. You got John the Tiger Kiger, who can't eat it. We got Matt Harkins and Devin Shea. So the volunteers will get a couple slices of pizza. And since Smoking Jim didn't make it, I took 2 slices.
It was gone.
And it's very good.
It must be.
Check them out. They've only been around for about 7 months. They have another location in Cannonsburg that I knew about. And it's just a great place. Frank's the owner. Ryan, I talked to him. Alexis, I talked to also. She was answering phones while I was there, so I brought good karma there. And the man I talked to is Stan the Man, who was at Shop and Save. He signed us up to do this for all year. So help these people out, and you'll see it more and more. Thanks for the close-up, John. And that pizza was delicious. Thanks. I got a lot of thanks for people. First of all, being able to do this show, this year and the last couple years. We now hit 4,041 likes. Jim Audet, we just blew our world record out just from the other day when it was 4,021. So thank you, everybody. A lot of the new people that are watching us. We're on Verizon 32 everywhere in the Pittsburgh area. That's suburbs, Nemacolin, Cranberry, Wexford, Sewickley, East, West. So thanks for watching there. Bethel Park, it's only in Comcast 7, but you can also get 32 here. So people are DVRing it and watching the show. And then, Chip, you'll like this one. I already told you who I ran into today at the Market District. And Zach, she's one of your biggest fans. Renee, she goes, I want to meet him because we're from Steel Valley. Where's he live at? So I told her, and she lives in Bethel Park. She watches on Comcast 7. She tells us all these stories. She said it was so nice to meet Chip the Prophet Hayner and his wife Stephanie, who was laughing so hard she was crying herself. So she had fun, and she actually was talking to me about some sports and what she's been learning. And she said, you guys with that banner that you have, it's entertaining and it's educating. So thanks, Renee. Appreciate that. And we're going to start our show off with what's on our mind, and we're going to start that right now. Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the talking machine, what's on my mind? I knew it last night at Duke's Rib House and Grill. I told you as soon as Smoking Jim Frazier said he put the heavy money on the Ducks, the kibosh was on, and it was mush. And I
just watched the rerun of the show, and when you said that, I just felt so bad for you, even though I didn't realize how sad you were, because we wanted to bust your chops a little bit. And I said, I don't condone gambling. Well, the 2 gamblers got crushed. The one guy that does just the friendly bet, he's just sad. but now I'm happy, so we're okay. Go ahead, Zach. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Well,
I did feel bad for you when I saw the show again.
Well, to give you folks a little bit of insight behind the scenes, the Ducks quickly marched down the field and put up 7 real fast on Ohio State. And Smoking Jim Frazier turns to me after last night's show and says, the money, something like along the lines of like the money's in the bank or something like that, And I even knew, that was the second sign. The first sign was that he took Oregon. The second sign was that I took Oregon. And the third sign was that he said that, to start counting the money before it was halftime. And the next thing I know, it's 21-7 Ohio State. And, the lot of credit to Urban Meyer. I tell you what, he's proven to be one of the best college coaches in the league for what he was given at Ohio State. Tressel dealt them a real setback there, and he came in and restored order. And I tell you what, man, that running back last night for Ohio State absolutely decimated Oregon and that line of theirs on defense. So
they earned it.
Getting waxed because of Smoking Jim and the bad mojo with him was definitely a kick in the thing last night. The other thing that's on my mind is the Steelers. They made Butler the defensive coordinator, and my only ridicule and problem with that is that this man studied under Dick LeBeau for the last 8 or 9 years. It's Dick LeBeau's defense that hasn't progressed as the way the league is set up now. So you put the protege at Dick LeBeau in charge of the defense. Why didn't you just keep Dick LeBeau? And that's what's on my mind tonight, folks.
Thanks. Appreciate that, Zach. No word yet from Smoking Jim, so we'll move on. Chip the Prophet Hainer, what's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind, Alan, is, I would leave it to the NFL to screw up something as simple and straightforward as being able to get a call right. And, watching this weekend's NFL games, and, oh, by the way, far be it from me to toot my own horn. But
go ahead.
Toot. I was 4-0 this weekend on my NFL picks. And, nothing made me happier than watching the Ravens bite the dust, watching the Cowboys lose, and the way they lost was even a little bit more satisfying with me. But really what's on my mind is, you look at the games that are being played, and supposedly we've got the best of the best referees that are playing. And what you're seeing in the games and the way the games are called, there's absolutely no continuity with the referees. There's no consistency with the calls. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. There's confusion on the field. There's confusion in the box. And even to make it better, Fox and CBS Sports have hired what they consider their NFL referee expert, which is basically a retired NFL referee who's sitting there in the booth and he's analyzing any call while it's being reviewed to give his expert opinion. And more often than not, he doesn't even get the call right. I think what they've gone ahead and done is they've micromanaged the rules to the point where the referees are afraid to make a call. They don't know really under what category and subtitle or what paragraph the rule applies to. You look at the way the rules are written and the catch that Des Bryant made that was ruled not a catch. If by the letter of the rules, that was not a catch. But if you watch the game, it sure looked like a catch to me. And, they used to say the ground couldn't cause a fumble. So,
they changed that.
They've changed all this. And, what they need to do is they need to, I think, really, to make the game back to the way it was, get rid of the replay officials, let the referees on the field make a call. They're going to get them wrong. I mean, it's just part of human nature. Players make mistakes, refs make mistakes, and baseball umpires make mistakes. I think the game would be better served to do that because we spend all this time reviewing a call, and then you're still not getting it right. I don't understand it, and I think it's hurting the game. But you wouldn't be able to tell that by the television ratings because the NFL is just like the one entity that you can't screw up. I mean, look, Roger Goodell's tried for 5-6 years. He hasn't done it yet, and looks like he got the stamp of approval from the owners because the investigation into his actions. Isn't it amazing that they came up with the with the conclusion that they wanted? But okay, that's what's on my mind.
Because I'm going to segue right into that one. Please don't go into that. Thanks, Chip. I like you tooting your horn and wink, 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 toot, toot. Roger Goodell, not an owner, was upset about anything. Their pockets are lined with gold. Makes a huge difference. I haven't heard a bad word about Roger except from everybody I know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't count for anything because they're making billions, and that's what happens. How
printing
could he
money.
get away with that?
But what,
We
real
can
quick-
even discuss
real
it.
quick
I
on
don't
the
mind.
Des, on
Yeah.
the Des Bryant thing, though.
Okay.
But the rule is, though, that the ground cannot cause a fumble.
Well,
though. You have to admit, he possessed the ball, he made the catch, and,
But-
and as he was going down and he hit the ground,
It's a
like,
but
continuation.
it's a continuation of the play and the way
And-
the rule
You
is
gotta read it.
stated.
And if it would have been, like somebody was even arguing with me that it was a touchdown, I said it was a yard short. If it was a touchdown, think about this, folks, for a minute. He would have made the catch, broke the plane, and then he would have fallen down. They could have reviewed that, which they would have. It would have been a touchdown.
Right, if it would have gone over the goal
That's the
line,
difference.
that would have been the difference. But the fact of the
So
matter
you'd
is,
be right, but he didn't cross the goal line. If he did, and if's a big word, like I always say.
but they call this the Calvin Johnson rule because of a call that was blown
Yeah, a
3
couple-
years ago
yeah.
between the Bears and the Lions, where Calvin Johnson clearly caught a touchdown pass, and he put his left hand down to balance himself, left the ball there and picked it up, and they said that was an incomplete pass because the ball went to the ground and he didn't continue to control it. It's so arbitrary, and you could have got 5 different referees to rule 5 different ways on that, and were any of them right?
Oh, we got. Be careful. We got camera movement. We got a clock coming in.
Okay, we got
Well,
it all.
back to Roger Goodell. It doesn't matter how stupid you sound, you're following orders. And that seems to be what he got away with. Whatever he wanted to do in the CBA, I know you guys, that's the bane of you.
Yes.
But the CBA, you can't have double jeopardy with that. When he charges you with something, then he can't do it again. And he knows that. He's a lawyer. He helped write that. So that's part of it,
this,
Chip.
This is the thing. They said they were going to have an investigation by a former head of the FBI, and we know about these former heads of the FBI's that have investigations.
Don't mention free.
Okay, I wasn't mentioning him. I was just alluding to him. But here's the thing. He has an investigation, and they try to legitimize it by having Art Rooney II as part of it, and John Mara, who two are the most well-respected owners in football. But why didn't they just say, we're going to have an investigation, we're going to find that we're not culpable for anything,
Right.
and why didn't they just say that in September instead of making us wait 12,
Because
14,
they
16
they
weeks
like the
because they
drama.
want to make it seem like they actually investigated it. No, they didn't. I mean, I don't believe that any part of it. It's a farce at best.
I'm glad you're on board now. That's part of what I was saying. I hate to be right about this because I don't agree that he should be in charge.
No.
And they've changed how football is. And they shouldn't be, they don't care about the players and whatever their brain injuries are. This proves it. They want to go do more games across the pond. So Roger Goodell, you'll see him get smart again. He's going to become a genius again. So.
Well, it's the National Football League. Next thing you know, it's going to be the INFL, the International Football League. We're the only country that they call this game football.
They might do that. All right, that's what's on my mind. Let's see. We can't do one of the best segments, that fiction. I mean, I like the fiction part, the fact. Doesn't matter. But he's not here. Maybe he'll come in. Whoa, we just got a signal from John the Tiger. Smoking Jim has entered the building.
Smoking Jim is in the house.
Well, you know what? We'll skip him for a second. Let's go to Chip's trivia time right now, John the Tiger.
Well, and to speak to the events of last night, Zach Brenner spoke about what happened with the Oregon Ducks and the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I do have to say this. I believe the NCAA finally got it right. The national champion of college football was won on the football field. I really think that it worked out well this year. The 4 teams that made were deserving, and you're always going to find somebody that's on the outside looking in that felt that they should have gotten voted in. But I did some research today, and all the way back to the beginning of when the NCAA started playing football.
Wow!
And I looked into some of the things that that made this so confusing. Why there was quite a number of years that there were multiple national champions because, there was the AP poll, there was the UP poll, there's the USA Today poll, there's the coaches poll. I mean,
President Nixon.
There's the North Pole, there's the South Pole. I mean, there were so many different voting bodies that voted on whether or not somebody was a national champion that even when they had the BCS, they used some kind of mathematical system that even people with PhDs couldn't figure out. And the polls had been the dominant national champion selector since the inception of the AP poll in 1936. The national champion was selected before bowl games as follows. From the AP from 1936 to 64, they skipped 1965, and then from 66 to 67. Don't understand that. There was a coaches poll from 1950 to 1973. There was the FWAA poll in 1954. Why they had a poll like that for 1 year is beyond me. And then there was the National Football Foundation from 1959 to 1997. And then, of course, there was the BCS from 1997 till last year. Now we've got the whatever they call it now.
Yeah.
But
The
thinking about all of
playoffs.
thinking about all these different polls and the way they determine national champions, I started looking into, well, let's see. Yesterday, Ohio State won the national championship. And that's Urban Meyer's third national championship, ties him among coaches with Nick Saban.
Right.
And it's a big accomplishment in this day and age. So I started looking back at, let me see how many universities have won how many national championships. And I was thinking, well, yeah, most of us could probably come right out of nowhere and say, who do you think, Jack, just off the top of your head, what university do you think has won the most national championships in college football?
Oklahoma.
Okay.
Notre Dame.
Okay. They're pretty good guesses. Well, I found
Harvard.
out that according to these number of polls, because so many different teams were selected, the team that has won the most national championships is Princeton.
Yeah, I knew it was
Followed by Yale.
Yeah, I was going to bet on that.
Followed by
that's why I said
Yale
Harvard.
with 27. The next one is a team you may recognize, Notre Dame Fighting Irish
Yeah.
with 22. Followed by Alabama with 19. Oklahoma has been named 17 times as the number one team, as well as USC. Michigan is doing one better than Ohio State with 17. Ohio State has won 16 national championships. Then we get into that football powerhouse called Harvard. They have been named national champions 12 times.
Yes.
Then followed by Nebraska and that football powerhouse, the University of Pittsburgh, with 11.
Woo!
University of Miami of Florida, 9. Texas, 9. Florida State, 8. Wow. LSU, 8. Minnesota, 7. Penn State, 7. Tennessee. Georgia Tech at 6. Michigan State. So as you can see, I think they finally found a way to clear up the college football system in the way they win a national championship.
Tell me
now
again who was
on
number
fifth.
one.
Number
Princeton.
one, Princeton has been named number one in football.
They never recruited me.
Those weren't bad.
And then the one that surprised me was the old alma mater of good old Roger Goodell was accredited with winning one national championship.
Carnegie
Washington
Mellon?
and Jefferson.
Yeah, okay.
Washington and Jefferson University down in Washington. But I found that kind of fascinating that with all this talk about, the BCS bowls and national championships, that, nobody would have guessed which team's been named a national
I
champion.
said Harvard, and I was way down on the list.
Way down.
But I thought the Ivy League may have had
No,
champion because they started earlier.
They
doing
started
this.
earlier than most,
Yeah.
but that's
And they had some good ball players.
pretty fascinating stuff, I thought.
Graham,
Without
I get
helmets.
some real let's take out if we took out the Ivy League.
Well,
schools,
I could have gone through and
I mean, I'm just
and did that,
I'm just
but
applying how different the game is and how different it is now. So if
They
we
didn't
go
have
from
face
Zach,
masks.
84.
Zach, some of these people were awarded national championships with 3 wins. Okay,
Yeah, so
they only
that's-
played 4 games.
Yeah. So how far does that go back? Do you know? How
Yeah,
far
probably
it-
goes back into the
1800s
1800s.
something. Yeah.
It goes
Late
back into the
1800s.
1800s.
So they
Well, that's
so
right,
a
I
lot
mean-
of those schools probably won their titles before 1940. They were powerhouses.
I
Yeah.
would not be too surprised.
Okay.
I mean, it was a long list. I was fascinated by the numbers and the list of schools, but I just found it interesting. I thought,
so
It is
Minnesota got
interesting.
2 out of the top 5.
Yeah, not bad.
You would go.
Notre
You
Dame.
would go for Notre Dame.
I did. Yeah, I'm sure. Definitely. That's not bad. I come in strong. Smoking Jim, welcome to the show. He made it before 7:30. You know we don't gamble on this show, but I was betting he wouldn't make it before 7:30.
Let's not talk about gambling again.
Or heavy money.
Yeah. No wonder he was late. He was working on his escape route out of the city.
Is that why you couldn't fill the tank?
He had to wait for the cover of darkness.
Hold it. What's this guy named Tony? Tony was looking for
He's
him.
gonna break Smoking Jim's.
Well, Smoking Jim, we could give you 2 segments of what's on your mind if you want, and then roll right in the
Fiction and fact.
and fact.
Oh, that's perfect. Thanks, Al Levine, the talk machine. And if you want the green,
Hold it. I got to see. Whoa. Here, I found one.
you got to see Levine. Great job, my option quarterback days. And Grambling has more national championships than anybody, but they don't
What league is
count
that?
the Negro leagues and anything. But,
Do you even count them?
but hey, I want to give a shout out to PennDOT. Guy came by, gave me 2 gallons of gas for free. Brother gonna be breaking down every other day.
Hold it. Hold it.
What you
Show him this. I want to get a smile because not only did he get 2 gallons of gas, he got 2 slices of pizza.
Thanks, Devin Shea.
No, wait a minute.
Matt,
Did you
in
tip the
prime
man?
time.
Yeah, he
You
told
tipped the
him.
man.
He gave it to me. He said, watch Pittsburgh Sports Line on Verizon
He said,
32.
don't ever stop for me again.
That's what happens.
Oh man.
2 gallons is like $8.
But
State.
I'll go quick. I know we got a lot of stuff to cover. So
Well, I don't know if we'll get to it all, but we're just speculating.
all
on it.
right. Well, here's what's on my mind. You know, history repeats itself in the worst way. In 1992, my good friend, not just Facebook friend, Bill Cowher, his first hire was former New England Patriots football coach Ron Earhart as his offensive coordinator. After the 1995 Super Bowl season, Bill Cowher made a mistake, in my judgment, by firing Ron Earhart because he did not want to lose his receivers coach, Shane Gailey, so he promoted Shane Gailey to offensive coordinator. And what Bill Cowher should have done was made Ron Earhart the assistant head coach and made Shane Gailey the offensive coordinator, because after the 1997 season, when Shane Gailey left, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense had no leadership, nobody to take over that coordinator position, nobody that could really understand that offense. And it quite a few years there, the Pittsburgh Steelers unraveled. And that brings me to when Mike Tomlin was hired in 2007. The first thing he did was promote John Mitchell from defensive line coach, where he did very little, to assistant head coach, a position he never earned. And so now this week, Mike Tomlin, instead of, he had no position to promote Dick LeBeau to. He could have easily made Dick LeBeau the assistant head coach, promoted the dumbest white man I ever met, Keith Butler, to defensive coordinator. And if the defense had a problem, now listen, Keith Butler's never been anything but a linebacker coach. And now all of a sudden you're taking a guy that everybody loved, Dick LeBeau, and you're getting rid of him, and you're putting all your eggs in the basket of a guy who's 58 years old, and all he's ever been his whole life was a linebacker coach. That's a mistake. Now here's your fixing and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. A few years ago, little Z, I got to spend some time with one of my heroes, and Bobby Knight.
Wow.
And me and Bobby Knight talked a long time about his best friend, Bill Parcells, and until he threw somebody in the salad bar. But anywho, when I was about to leave Bobby told me to tell Dick. He said, hello.
They're friends.
And so I asked him, like, Dick who? He says, Dick LeBeau. So I says, wow. He says, we went to Ohio State together. So I sat back down and listened to this story, you know. And he says, he said that Dick LeBeau was the best athlete he's ever seen. Bobby Knight told me he played on a national championship Ohio State basketball team that beat Oscar Robinson's team for the national championship. He said Dick LeBeau could have played for their basketball team. Dick LeBeau in 1957 was the starting running back and the starting cornerback for Ohio State's national championship team. This is a guy who is still 7th all-time in NFL history with 62 career interceptions. He has an NFL record for cornerbacks that will probably never be broken, 171 consecutive games. Dick LeBeau has been in the National Football League for 56 consecutive seasons, 14 as a player, 42 as a coach. And he still does 200 push-ups a day. He's a scratch golfer. And this is a guy who is the ambassador in the National Football League. This guy's a true gentleman. Everybody loves him. I remember a time when all the players wore his Detroit Lion jersey. And this is a guy that relates to every level of the generation here in society. His mom lived till she was 100 years old. Dick LeBeau got a lot of years to live. And I think what the Pittsburgh Steelers did to a true gentleman, I mean, every time he sees me, he gives me a Snickers bar. Wow. And I'm going to miss that.
Yeah,
along with my steak.
because you look undernourished.
Yeah. So I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers really did a horrible job letting a guy like that go. And right now, and I hope Dick LeBeau gets hired by the Arizona Cardinals, one genius to another.
Pittsburgh West.
And let me get a bite of this
Thanks,
pizza.
Smokey.
Is it Z-time now?
I don't know. What comes after that? I'm out of order here.
Hit the buzzer. Can I hit the
Here,
buzzer?
can I have that one sheet
Can I
back?
bring the
The
show
one
back
in
to
magic
order?
marker for later.
There you go.
We'll see if we can cover some of it. Thank you. How's that pizza from Olive Oil's Pizzeria
You
right
know
at
what?
Hillcrest?
This is so good.
How good is it?
It's delicious. One of the best, if not the best pizzas ever ate. This is
What
so
a
good.
surprise. But hey, shout out to Ryan and Frank, who owns the place, and Stan the man set us up with it. My friend Stan.
I don't need the recipe.
Here's what you do. Take his flyer, pass it down to him. He can get that on your way here. If you leave early, they'll have it ready for you.
Probably doesn't have enough gas.
Yeah. That's essential. Start getting fuel perks.
Olive oil pizza.
Thanks, Devin
Pizzeria.
Shane.
Olive oil.
Olive Oil's Pizzeria.
I may wait a day because
They have one in Cannonsburg, too.
I may wait a little bit because somebody's after me that's in the olive oil business.
Hopefully it's not a Genovese.
Did you watch all three?
If it's a Genovese, man, it's over for you. Not even Mr. Sassy can save you.
Were you?
come get me.
Hey, Smoking Jim,
I'm
here's
not
what he
starting
told
this truck
me.
in the parking lot either. You let the Tigers start your truck.
You know, I hate to put our personal things in here, but Smoking Jim, I did call him, and Zach told me, he goes, what? Where? He goes, hey, Al, tell Smoking Jim this is just business. It's not personal. And that's how he ended the conversation. And then you're trying to text me while I'm juggling a pizza and driving in a car. I stopped. But I'm glad you're safe for
it's
today.
nighttime and I was wearing all black, brother. I'm ducking some people.
A sad state of affairs.
Just
folks.
like you did last night, right?
A sad state of affairs, folks, is Smoking Jim Frazier, even with his texting capabilities, still couldn't text 412-583-5047. And that's the number to Brenner Contracting directly. So, I mean, if you were going to, from the beginning,
It would only saved a minute and a half.
soon as you
Because
ran
he
out of
couldn't.
gas,
No,
you
here's
should
what
have
he was
relayed that
doing.
message.
He was trying to start it up again. It wouldn't go. So he didn't know for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
or
he
so.
played around, wasted about 10 minutes. We could
Then
have
he
already
called
been on the
Levine.
scene, but I'd have charged him for that $8 of petrol.
Not. It's down less than that now.
But now
Gas
for
is
those
dropping.
of us like me and Chip and all that pay, wage taxes and all these taxes to the state, that's where you get your free 2 gallons of gas.
Oh, thank
Smoking
you.
Jim Frazier. So that's a little fiction and fact from Little Z's Almanac.
All right, let's get to Z time. Forget
In
this.
Z
segment.
time, the question tonight, folks, for those of you, staying in from the cold and watching this great show on Bethel Park TV, on Verizon 32, Comcast 7, throughout the southwestern Pennsylvania area from Erie to Nemacolin is, when is too long? Too long. Like right there in that last paragraph of mine, it was too long. Dick LeBeau has got a little long in the tooth, and I'm going to tell you why, Smoking Jim Frazier, and this is why. Dick LeBeau has not kept up with the way that the league has progressed and modernized with the passing game. He has not. He has not at all at any point. And I don't want to hear anything about the personnel, because the personnel, my schemes are always fit to the personnel. I never tried to run a scheme in the city of Pittsburgh that wasn't tailored to the personnel that I had, with me. I just never did it. It's always tailored to the individuals that I have at my disposal. But what Dick LeBeau hasn't done is he has not done anything positive with the defense in the last 2 seasons. They have not been able to stop any of the elite attacks at all. So if you want to take the blame and put it on the players, to an extent, but what, the schemes have been erratic, and what, the pressure and the calls and some of the stuff has just not been executed properly, and I feel like it was time for Dick LeBeau to go. But now what I'm upset with, as Smoking Jim Frazier breaks the table with his
might be our side of
250-pound
it,
arms. What I'm not excited about is, like I said earlier in the show and last night, is the prospectus of bringing in Keith Butler, which is a Dick LeBeau disciple,
Good
which
point.
is trained under Dick LeBeau for 9 seasons.
Good point.
What is Keith Butler going to do any differently than what Dick LeBeau's been trying to do, other than the fact that Dick LeBeau is, Paul Mahler's gone, probably Kiesel's gone, Harrison's gone, Wolter's gone, like at least half the defense is going to be gone. So why not get rid of LeBeau? But I wanted to get rid of Butler too, and bring in somebody else new, and probably institute like the cover 2, and start drafting some corners and getting and really modernizing with the way the league is going.
Well,
Good
you know
point.
what?
Good point.
I understand the criticisms of Dick LeBeau's defense from the last couple of years, and I also understand that Dick LeBeau truly was a true gem that the Steelers had, and he was somebody to be treasured. And I want to tell you this. Dick LeBeau probably did his best coaching job of his entire career this year by putting a defense out there that had more holes in it than he had fingers to stick in to stop. And they ended up 11-5. Now, granted, statistically, they didn't rank in the top 10, but I do point the finger of blame at the horses that he had to run with. Now, his schemes still are sound. You need the proper people to put into those schemes. I think that, the difference between Keith Butler's defense and what you're going to see out of Dick LeBeau, you're going to see the Steelers move away from being a 3-4 team into a part-time 4-3, part-time 3-4. They're going to be playing more down linemen. They're going to be playing 3 linebackers. And I think you're going to see a complete transformation of the defense from what it has been before. Because right now, to be honest with you, we don't have the horses to run a true 3-4. We've got a decent defensive line right now. And you look at what we got coming back for next year and what we have to pick from that's left over this year at linebacker, it leaves us woefully short.
But that's a good point, because the only thing Keith Butler can do is dumb down
But even
the
the
defense.
NFL scout will even tell you that when you're trying to implement this 3-4, one of the most important things is the nose tackle. And since we've lost Casey Hampton on that defensive line,
good point.
it's been nothing but trouble on that defensive line.
I beg to differ. In the 3-4 defense, your most important thing, and I'm going to give a little plug out here to Kevin Green, is a outside linebacker that can sack the quarterback. If your outside backers are not putting pressure on the quarterback, the defense is going to fail every time. And it was evidenced by look what happened last year, look what happened this year. Your best linebacker, you're paying $9.5 million to, he has 7.5 sacks, the same as your defensive end. That's pathetic. You need linebackers that can rush the quarterback, that can create havoc the way James Harrison used to.
Let's go back. Let's go back and watch the tape between what this defense looked like when you had Casey Hampton up front and what the defense looks like now, where you're rotating like 4 or 5 gentlemen to fill the void of one human being. People don't realize, like I said, how disruptive Casey Hampton truly was. That he pushed that line, he pushed the quarterback, he did everything, so regardless of whether your 2 outside linebackers are generating a rush, if you can collapse that pocket in the middle, I could get out a blackboard and draw it up for you all day long. But, that's another story. That's why I'm the assistant head coach of the Pittsburgh Gladiators, because I understand schemes, schematics, and X's and O's. And like I said, when you got a nose, and this is what I'm trying to get through to a gentleman that's as big as Casey Hampton right now that wants to play linebacker. He should play nose tackle. He should be right there on the line, right in the middle. That is one of the most disruptive people. He's right over top of the center. You destroy that center, push that center back, man, and the rest is history. And we just haven't had that since we lost Casey Hampton. And I knew Casey Hampton, and he was a load of a fella. And we haven't replaced him yet. And
I got to sound in a little just with the logic you made. I was just a patient man. Now you're on a team and you're coaching, for hopefully this season, you'll make it this year. But you just talked about a player who you have who's a disruptive player. Mm-hmm. The Steelers have a whole list of players that aren't disruptive, but they've been drafting that way. So Dick LeBeau, I have to agree with Chip. I like to disagree a lot of times because we got opinions.
Yeah.
But this was one of the best years of coaching. If any time you wanted LeBeau to resign, it would have been 2 years ago when they were just starting to change. The team was starting to get worse, like Smoking Jim predicted. I would have got rid of him then, and I don't think they should have got rid of him now. He coached these players up. Like you coach up a guy, you're just telling me you're going to coach up a guy who wants to be a linebacker, and he's as big as this room.
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a guy that wants him to play defensive end, and if he doesn't want to play on the line, then he can go play for another team because I don't see him playing linebacker, and he's not playing linebacker for me. Because I'm at practice, I tackled him myself at 350 pounds. I'm only 280. I tackled this 350-pound giant.
I thought you were down to 275.
And this guy deserves to play nose tackle, and he doesn't want to play nose tackle. He thinks he can play linebacker, and he's going to get exposed real fast.
Well, here, let's carry this a step further, just since we're talking Steelers. This segment's going to be scratched, but with Steelers, you don't have the players like that. And the pros, who are you going to go to? It's the talent you have. We're not going to go pick up free agents when they know we need them.
What if there was a case, though, where Dick LeBeau is lobbying to keep Paul Amalu, to keep Ike Taylor, to keep all these...
How about if he's not?
You're speculating.
How about I say he's not?
But Lozzie makes a good point in this. He makes a lot of good points, but one of the best points that he made was that if you're going to get rid of Dick LeBeau, you don't want to promote somebody who's not as smart as Dick LeBeau, one, and who learned under Dick LeBeau. You go outside the organization, but the reason they couldn't, and this comes right back to Mike Tomlin, I'm sure when he watches this, he'll put me on another 1-year sabbatical where he don't speak to me. But
that's a blessing.
You cannot promise somebody a job. They had to promote Keith Butler because they promised this career linebacker coach over 3 years ago that he was the defensive coordinator in waiting. So their hands was tied.
Let me go back a second. Bruce Arians, Tomlin come out and said he was staying. Art Rooney II pulled a Jerry Jones.
Good point.
So all these things with Tomlin, he's not truly in charge. Why do I got to keep bringing this up?
We always agree on that.
Okay, well, he's not in charge. The promise that he made, what they should have done, if you're going to get rid of LeBeau, get rid of Butler, put Tomlin in as a defensive head coach, which that's what he should be, according to the pedigree that he had growing up with greater coaches than him. Mm-hmm. Because he really didn't coach the defense that well wherever he was. Yeah, somebody else helped him do
he was
that.
1 year.
So let him go in there. Mm-hmm. I say put him in charge so the mic will be done 90% of the time. Call the defensive plays, and let's see what happens with Tampa too. That's part of it.
But all of us here have our opinions, and we're all entitled to our opinions. And really, I mean, we are afforded the luxury of never being wrong and never having to prove ourselves out on the field every weekend. And so, this is what I'm going to say. I would have lobbied very hard for Dick LeBeau to stay. Okay, but that being said, and they chose not to. You know what? Now that he's gone, I'm going to give what they've got. Let's see how it works out, because everything is going to be dependent on the personnel they get. And to be honest with you, somebody that Jim's been ragging on for 2 years, and I'm on Jim's bandwagon with this one. Jarvis Jones hasn't even shown me he can make a play on special teams.
Meanwhile,
he's the only draft pick that's
player
supposed to be
signed
our outside linebacker.
right now. He's the only linebacker signed right now. Is Jarvis Too Slow Jones? He's the only linebacker on the roster contractually
No
right
wonder,
now.
look
Think
here,
about
you
that,
know what?
though.
I'm
He's
done
right.
with the conspiracy. Now I know why LeBeau resigned.
I don't
Because
think
he's
it's just-
tired of working without horses.
I
He's
don't.
fed up.
If any man at this table believes that Dick LeBeau resigned, is about as gullible as some.
No,
somebody
I
on my
believe
left.
it because they
He
wrote
didn't
about it.
resign. He didn't resign. He was. He didn't have a choice.
None of us know this for a fact.
He didn't have a choice.
You've got no facts to base any
when
opinion on.
Suge Knight
Everything
hung
is
Vanilla
conjecture.
Ice off a balcony to get him to sign over his rights to all of his hits. What do you think happened to Dick LeBeau when he went into the Rooney's
Well, no,
office?
no,
I think
He
he's
had
a-
a. You know what? Nobody can diminish the role that Dick LeBeau has played on this organization, and I would never do that. I love Dick LeBeau. I was going crazy at the parades for the Super Bowls, but
I
you know
saw
what?
you hugging him on one of the TVs.
Sometimes the game passes you by, and you've been doing it for so long, and you can't evolve any further, and you can't schematically keep up with what's going on. And regardless of the horses, you still can adjust the scheme a little bit and do something different. It never hurts to try.
Hard
It
to
never
argue.
hurts to try.
Hard to argue
You
that.
can't
Yeah,
keep
I
doing
know,
the
it's
same
hard
thing.
to argue, but it's
Well,
also
here,
hard
I'll-
to argue with 11-5.
Yeah, I
At
know.
11-5. What did the Cardinals finish?
As coach of the year, 11
What
and
did the
5.
Cardinals finish?
11 and 5.
And did they make the playoffs?
Yes.
And did they go far?
No.
No. And what did Denver do? And their coach have won 42 regular season
No,
games.
he
That
was-
was
He was 2 and 3.
46 and 18 in
He
4
was
years.
2 and 3 in the playoffs, and he got the axe.
And
The
he-
two coaches that backstabbed Tim Tebow, Fox, and Rex Ryan
And
both got fired.
And who's the even
and-
bigger
and
idiot?
Rex has already got
And
rehired.
Rex Ryan
And John
is a-
Fox is going to be
Rex
the next
Ryan
coach in Chicago,
for 20
and he's going to get stabbed in the back by Jay
23
Cutler,
$23 million.
the coach
For
killer.
$23 million, Rex Ryan gets to go to Buffalo.
He's gonna do great.
Where
Really?
losing is just about
No, he's getting paid $5
is
million
about
a
to
year.
be accepted on a regular.
But here's the thing about what is going on in Denver. And if I was in Denver, I'd be a lot more concerned about that team than we are concerned about the Steelers, because you've got one of the most arrogant jerks, and I choose my words very judiciously there, as a general manager of that team. The arrogance that John Elway has, that he seems to think that he's going to pull all the. Now he got rid of the entire coaching staff. Now Jack Del Rio will now be he'll end up being the head coach in Los Angeles, in Oakland.
Wow.
Okay, you're going to have John Fox as the head coach in Chicago.
He'll
They got
lose.
rid of all of
Why
all
did
of
they
the
do that?
coaches. Because
Why?
John Elway knows what's best, and now they're not even sure they're going to even have a quarterback last year because they got a broken down one
I
arm
wasn't
has been that limped through
In
the game
Buffalo-
on Sunday. That I don't think he's got any task
in
left in his
Buffalo.
tank.
In Buffalo, let's think about this for a second with Ryan. You were in New York with the Jets, and you couldn't get the Jets over New England and the Patriots. So I would rather take my shot anywhere else. I've been getting
don't
my,
understand.
my
He's
bell
a sick
rung.
man.
So now, rather I would have took my shot
He's
maybe in
sick,
Chicago where my
mentally.
dad was a legend, or maybe down Atlanta where I got a quarterback and an
Zach,
offense
think
and
about logic
needs
here.
defense.
Follow my thought plan here. Rex Ryan,
Buffalo
when he
ain't
went to
never
the New
gonna
York
do
Jets, okay, the Jets had a very stout defense. They had a serviceable quarterback, and he took them to 2 AFC championship games. Now you look at Buffalo. Buffalo had one of the top 2 rated defenses. They had the number 1 sack total in the NFL this year. So you've got a stout defense. Rex Ryan's a defensive specialist. Buffalo will win enough games to make it to the playoffs to justify his hiring. Again, he does not have a quarterback. They've got that E.J. Manuel, and I don't know if he's ever going to amount to anything, but he could probably not lose enough games for you for him to make a difference. You watch. Buffalo will still be relevant for a couple of years, and then after a couple of failed drafts, Rex will be shown the X.
Shit,
Sammy
how
Watkins.
can they they
Sammy
be
Watkins
relevant?
out there, too.
How can you be relevant when that division goes through Foxborough and you couldn't be relevant with you couldn't get take it over the top with the Jets? So now you're going to go to Buffalo
He'll
with
tell
those
you.
losers.
I'll tell you the answer because one of these days Tom Brady's going to retire.
Yeah, one of these days.
And Rex
One of
Ryan
these days.
bought into all that New York media and kept feeding into it. Look, he had a toe fetish. Everything was distracting there. I mean, a foot fetish, whatever it is. Think about it. Who's going to talk about that in Buffalo?
You don't get
He had
this
Mark
anywhere
Sanchez.
else.
No.
Only
He had
here
Mark
on
Sanchez
Pittsburgh
tattooed on his
Sports
body.
Radio.
Yeah.
Hey, when you got 18 foot of snow outside, the best thing to have is a foot fetish, brother.
Well,
you
he
just
can't. He'll
enjoy
never
it.
get out of the house to go anywhere.
Are you talking about a foot fetish or toe jam?
It'll be frozen. But he's in a great opportunity. For some reason, he likes to play the Patriots, whether he wins or not.
Yeah.
He wants to.
Oh, he took the job because he's not there to kiss Bill Belichick's rings, right?
That's
That's
why.
what I mean.
Why can't his brother get a head coaching job?
Well,
He
here's what
can't
I
even do it.
here on a semi-serious
What did that
note,
defense do down in
Is there
New
three teams in
Orleans?
the NFL he hasn't been defensive coordinator for more than 2 years?
Hey, Smoking Jim, I got to target a point to you because there's something called the Rooney Rule.
Yes, sir.
Now, somehow I missed it. I watch sports. I get all these news feeds, and I'm not seeing it. Aren't the white coaches getting fired, and then they're getting hired the next day?
Yeah, they must be
No.
centered around that one token black guy.
No, there isn't even one there
There's,
now.
I mean, Tony Dungy's retired.
They interviewed.
There's only
Buffalo
like 5
did
brothers
interview
in the
Hugh
game.
Jackson.
I wanted
There's
him
only
to
like 5
stay.
brothers on the sideline in the game that
No,
that are with
I
him.
don't
Now,
believe
there's
that.
some-
I remember when
I
Tim
think
Lewis.
that-
Remember Tim Lewis? Tim Lewis used to travel from team to team because they would interview him.
Just for the
Just
just to cross it off. We did it. We interviewed him.
Good job.
I knew we get the truth now from that side of the
But-
table.
You know,
But college football needs a Rooney
There's-
Rule now.
no, there's a couple good African American head coaches in college football. The coach at Texas A&M, even though he runs like the most wild,
Sumlin?
crazy ship.
Yeah,
Sumlin,
Sumlin's good.
he's a genius in some of the stuff that he puts
Knows
together.
his
So
place.
it's only a matter of time before he'll get a shot if they're going to.
Well,
keep
here's
giving
I'm
here-
just
some
wondering.
of these
here's
guys.
the next thing for black coaches. One, you guys need to give me a call, and my consulting fee is very flexible.
Astronomical.
Because
Right
anybody,
now it is.
anybody that calls me into the NFL or anybody, the consulting fee, it's usually 2 hours. In the first hour and a half, I just beat you up. I beat your team up, and then I'll let you know what you need to do the last half hour. Now, here's the thing. There was a coach that was a very good coach at Louisville. Why would you leave Louisville for Texas? You're not. You had it made at Louisville. You're going to get fired at Texas. You're not a Texas coach. And here's another thing that a lot of people don't realize, and you guys, and I know I can say this to this group, and even Matt, Devin, and Prime Time, you guys will understand that.
Who's prime?
Here's the thing that college football looks at, or NFL, any football team. Your head coach is your CEO. In essence, he is your star, especially in college. Now you have the boosters, you have the fan base, you have everybody wanting to be around this guy. And a lot of times what happens is because there's not the coming together like that we have with all different races. There is this stigma that the people in the group, the country club group, they want to be able to reach out, touch, raise money with this head coach. And a lot of them don't feel that the black coach at the university can do that. And then all of a sudden you do hire, there's some charismatic black coaches that are very good. It's just like white, but in Asian and Hispanic, I guess, too.
Try to reach out some more.
But
You need
the
some
thing
help.
is, you get a job like Texas where the head coach got to be a superstar. You can't be a tough, mean guy that don't have a personality, and that's what Texas has. And the boosters are falling off. The sponsors are falling off. They don't want this guy nowhere near the country clubs. He should have stayed at Louisville until he had the right job to go to.
And the same thing happened with Rich Rodriguez when he was at WVU. He had himself a nice little niche
Yeah.
carved out there.
Yeah.
And he was
Good
producing, he was recruiting well, producing teams that were challenging nationally. And then he got his eyes on the big prize. And
Yeah.
he went to the big house in Michigan. And he was a big fish in a little pond. And then he went up to Michigan, and all of a sudden, he's a little fish in an ocean.
Yeah.
Okay? And he was completely overwhelmed with everything there. Subsequently, then he got down. He's in Arizona. Arizona doesn't have the prestige
Right,
of Michigan
right.
and the national attention. And again, he's a good football
What's
coach.
the biggest thing you hear about Michigan right now? They don't care about the football team. I mean, they care about it, but everybody's getting around Harbaugh. He's the star. I mean, he's the head coach. He's going to be speaking everywhere.
Right.
He was on the sideline of the Baltimore Raven game here in Pittsburgh, and
Yes,
I
he
guarantee
was.
you he was there to try to recruit some kid from Central Valley. He said that star. That's the
Jordan
type of
Whitehead.
people that you're looking for. Yeah, like you said, you can't go to every organization. Rodriguez's biggest mistake was leaving West Virginia, and they was
Virginia.
paying him.
And
They
why
was
would
paying
you
him good
want to
money.
play at the University of Pittsburgh right now if you could go play with Coach Harbaugh and the pedigree?
Because
that
they got you supporting them.
That's not enough.
It has to be.
That's not enough.
You're my hero.
I want to win. And I would, if I'm advising that kid and you want your percentage and you want your cut, Mr. Whitehead, you go. You go
right.
to the university where you're going to get the most exposure and notoriety, the most big time, prime time games, ESPN, the big stadiums, the big time, man. That's where
Yep.
you go, and it's not.
Well, I
at
like
Heinz
this
Field
extended
on
Z
Saturday.
time. You're
It's
making
not.
some good points.
And
with
I want
the
to also
extended
give a
Z
shout
time.
out to Smoking Jim Frazier, who
Anything else?
was an absentee ballot castee at the Brew and Chew event at the Monroeville Convention Center
happened
this
there?
past Saturday.
How was
There
it?
was a great event
Oh.
going on. Me and
I
Alvin.
missed it. I
I ate too
I was
much.
working on a project.
I know.
Him and his projects. Are you working on a project or in the project? We'll never know.
So,
Now that we covered most of this stuff, I got to get on location here with what we
we're
did.
going to bring up anything about the Pittsburgh Pirates. They still play in this town.
You got to keep it under
Not
2
for another
minutes.
week.
I can do that. Very
You do a
easily.
2-minute pirate because Smoking Jim's wearing a pirate hat.
Yeah, and he
Smoking
got the
Jim's wearing a
shirt.
pirate hat. The Pirates have made all the moves that they needed to make to address all of their shortcomings last year. And just yesterday, they signed a young gentleman from Korea, a shortstop, who has got quite a reputation with the bat. And they signed him for 4 years, $16 million. I think it's a real wise choice to sign him, put him on the team. I think he makes a great backup infielder because now, you think about last year, we had the super sub, Jay. He played shortstop. He played third base. He played second base. He sold popcorn in the stands. He did it. He did it all. Well, now he's your starting third baseman. So you're going to need somebody to spell Neil Walker, who's prone to injury, Jordy Mercer, who can't play 162 games at shortstop.
Is Neil back? Neil Walker going to be back?
Oh yeah,
Bad back.
he's still arbitration eligible. They've got him for another 2 years.
Hey,
And
I
they've
would
got
love.
4 guys that are now battling for the first baseman's position.
Hey, Levine, I would love to, if we one of these days on Pittsburgh Sportsline, if we could get the city to take a poll, and how many in the city of Pittsburgh, who has the better shot every year of winning a title? The Pittsburgh Steelers or the Pittsburgh Pirates? And we'll even throw the Penguins in there. And I guarantee you the percentage that feel confident about the Pirates ever winning a World Series in like the next decade is really low. Really low.
Well, if they
And I'll
take
bet
the-
money on
If
it.
they
Heavy
take-
money.
you know,
If they take the wild card away, the Pirates will never make the playoffs.
Yeah, neither would the Steelers.
Hey, at least we're in it every year. We're in it every year, no
Hey,
matter how
Renee.
pathetic we can be. We're still in it, though. We're still in it. Ever since we
Did
have Ben
did we play
Roethlisberger,
on wild card
we've
weekend?
been in it
That's
every
what I'm
year.
saying.
We've been in it every year.
Well, I just want to tell
It took the
Renee
Pirates 20.
and the other folks that are maybe just turning in here or the regular. Renee's learning more during this banter session. Steelers are the only team that can make the playoffs and possibly win the Super Bowl.
Every year.
Penguin, every year except
Every year.
except when
show.
they're, except when they're 8-8, they're not great.
Hey, Zach, do you realize that there are 5 teams in Major League Baseball that have made the playoffs the last 2 years in a row? One of them's the Pittsburgh Pirates.
God
And that's
bless.
it for baseball. On location, we were at Duke's Rib House and Grill with a great crowd. We had the first time ever, we had Jose Caraballo's boxing team was there. Four women. Smoking Jim thought that I had models there, and they were all boxers. and we're all friends with him. Somehow he got to be friends before I did, but I caught up very fastly. So,
Some are underage.
well, that's Zach's problem because I don't have that problem. They look up to me, and they're thankful that they were on the show. It was great interviews. His boxers, he has a niche with all these women boxers, so we're going to watch and see what happens. Jane's been fighting now, I think, for a year or two with him, and she's done well. So, and she was the only woman boxer, but now there's 4 of them. He has 4 guys boxing, including his son, who's 13 years old, young Jose Jr., who's sprouted up. And he's a great guy to watch because he loves boxing, he lives boxing, and he's not homeschooled because he has a great, average in school. He goes to school, all right, and he's a good kid, and that helps. So we're out at Duke's. Now, next week we're going to be at Atria's. I don't know who's this prime time? I'd rather have the Tiger pull up on this stuff. This is Atria's, not Atria's.
Now we go to the wide shot.
At PNC Park. And what we're going to do there is it'll be on the 21st. It's the first time that we've ever been on a Wednesday night, so we'll be there 7:30. We had some cancellations with guests, but I did get a couple other ones. I just got an announcement from Justin, the Hawk Steve. He's going to be there, MMA fighter.
Really?
He's one of the
You got
best
a big
out
fight
there.
coming up in Williamsport.
Right, on Williamsport on Saturday, so I want to have some of the MMA guys
Make sure you
out
gas
there.
up.
No, he won't be doing that. But you're just distracting there, but that's not going to happen. So we want to thank them that will be there at Atria's, and we've got other guests. I'll be announcing that. You'll see the guest list as we get there. This past week we had a couple guests drop out because of ice and snow. So, and we didn't get it really
What ice
here.
and snow?
We didn't get it here. But I'm saying they called off because of that. Friends of yours, so.
Yeah, your friends.
Well,
No friend of mine.
they're all friends of ours. This is Pittsburgh Sports Line.
But
so-
hey, on a different note, we were criticizing the Pitt program like we always do, but a little shout out to Aaron Donald, NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year.
That's why I had Pitt in there.
The Sports Writers elected in National League Football Rookie of the Year, defensive lineman. It's not one of the sexier positions on the field. Somebody was noticing what he was doing.
Played high school near Gateway.
Yeah, Penn Hills.
Near
Yeah,
The
Gateway.
Penguins are winning. The Penguins are winning 2-0 right now.
Go Pens.
For you Penguin fans, Perron has a goal. The newly acquired.
And if anybody was looking for a fight, did Cook get in a fight with any Penguins?
Do you know what? Do you know
I
what?
don't know
If
yet.
Marc-Andre Fleury wins tonight, it will be a first. Do you know what first that will be? It'll be the first time in his career he's beaten the Minnesota Wild.
He should have made the All-Star.
Hey, real quick, T.O. Just got fired from Celebrity Apprentice last night. Terrell Owens, former NFL player. How much money? He made $80 million in his career. How much money do you think he raised on The Apprentice in his brief stint?
Negative money.
$50 was the most that Terrell
I thought
Owens could come
negative.
up with. He made $50 fundraising.
I thought it was
And he
negative.
got canned. The Donald fired him last night. So
Well, it shows a guy who's been bankrupt many times with his companies, like Trump has, that you
4
don't want to
different
go
babies'
bankrupt
mamas.
He's
again.
morally bankrupt. He's emotionally bankrupt. And he ain't got a dime in the bank.
Ain't that something?
Yeah,
Hey,
but he was a good athlete,
Yeah.
and that's
he
what
was.
can
I'll
get
never
you there
forget
so
when
far.
he did that on the Dallas Star.
but it was enjoyable to watch him make a complete fool out of himself on a
Darren
national
Woodson took
stage.
him out.
Yeah, and
Because that's exactly what he did.
Final
does-
thoughts, gentlemen. We got about 42 seconds to
Hey
go.
Zach, since you've dominated Z Time, I'd like your final thoughts on this, since we didn't end Z Time.
Well, my final thoughts are we look
Okay,
forward.
that's enough. That's enough of that. We got 30 seconds to go. This show's
You
just
ain't
about
kidding
done. I was waiting to get him because he plays like that Slick Rick type of movie he does to us
I need
every
an eye
week on
patch.
the
I need
show.
an eye patch.
Every week on the show. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks, Dave Cable, for not cutting all of Z's stuff out. I appreciate you keeping it.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks to Smoking Jim for making it. Chip, thanks for being early because the time you accumulated, it made up for the Sandbox boys. So that's always a good thing. Good night, folks. We're done. Be safe out there.